Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I do not regret the decision. I felt at the time it was the right thing to do, and I met with Coach Martin individually. That's where we got to that particular day. And, you know, sometimes this job is not always easy. Is it something I wanted to be involved in necessarily? No, I didn't want to be at that time. But it was done. I think that he hasn't lost any respect. Our relationship is really good. I certainly have great respect for him.
That is USC Athletic Director Ray Tanner. You will hear from him tonight in full detail. Our chance to sit down with him at his office over at the Rice Administrative Building on the USC campus, as we try to do every few months, and get the state of the Gamecock Union from him. We had Dan Radakovich on from Clemson a couple of weeks ago, so time to hear from the Gamecocks head man, and basically had nothing but positive things to say about things around his program, and why shouldn't he? We've got a football team that's going gangbusters. Same thing with baseball, women's basketball. Men's basketball finished decently to give them some hope for the future, and plenty of success on the spring sports side of things as well. So you'll hear from Ray Tanner. Also tonight, South Carolina received a commitment this afternoon from wide receiver Jalen Christian from up in Maryland, and we'll hear from him tonight and talk with him. He is a very highly regarded recruit, a lot of big-time offers, and they see him kind of filling that role that Ace Sanders, Bruce Ellington, Demir Bird are doing for USC. That kind of small, speedy receiver to play in the slot, to make big catches and also return punts. So we've got that all coming up tonight on Sports Talk. Of course, we're watching the baseball action tonight, and the regional golf action. Will be updating that for you as well. Phil Kornblut here, along with the professor, Tom Hayes. The empty chair tonight is Kevin McCrary, and the state man, Graham Pope, once again behind the bulletproof glass. Pro, watching the Celtics and the Heat last night, that might have been some of the worst coaching I've ever seen in the NBA by Jason Kidd, or maybe I should just say lack of coaching. They looked like a bunch of, 8 and 9-year-olds trying to inbounds the ball and get a decent shot off there in the final seconds. Totally ill-prepared for that situation.
Well, they panicked.
But the NBA players shouldn't be panicking.
Yes, they can, because if you got a 2-time world champion there, you can panic, especially in their building. And this alert to Paul Pierce. You don't play for Boston anymore, so, you know, you're not the hacker, you're the hackee. So the guy can hack your hand and get away with it. But I think probably down the stretch, Phil, they did not get enough screens for Joe Johnson, who was just hot as a firecracker. That's the guy you want to shoot him. But see, the problem with Joe is he likes to take a rhythm dribble. That cost him not getting the last shot. But you have to set screens for him late in the game to try to hit the nail in the coffin with maybe the 3.
You're down 2. Go to the basket. Go to the basket. You're probably going to get fouled and go to the line. Just go to the basket. Be right back.
But see, the problem with Joe is he likes to take a rhythm dribble.
All right, stand by, stand by.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. So good to have you with us here on this rainy Thursday here in downtown Columbia. We needed the rain. It's been a long time since we had a nice, long, strong rainstorm come through the Midlands, and hopefully you got some much-needed rain around other parts of the state, though, of course, hoping that we didn't have any flooding affect anybody or any wind damage as this storm moved through. Certainly we needed the rain, and we've got a good bit of it all day long here in Columbia. But we are high and dry inside our studios here in downtown Columbia, and we're glad that you're with us. You can reach us at 800-956-7266 or email us, talkback@sportstalksc.com. Also on Twitter, @sportstalksc. The website, sportstalksc.com, humming along with a lot of good stuff every day, every night. And on Facebook, you can like us there, Sports Talk Radio Network. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Of course, we've got baseball getting underway tonight. Clemson, which is honoring Bill Wilhelm in pregame ceremonies by inducting him into the Ring of Honor up at Clemson. Well-deserved, something that he would never allow to happen when he was alive, because I have never met anybody who deserved recognition who shunned it more than Bill Wilhelm did. But now, posthumously, he is getting honored in various ways at Clemson, and he's going to go into the Ring of Honor up there tonight for baseball. And that game against Boston College getting underway at 6:30. 7:30 tonight on ESPNU. It's South Carolina against Vanderbilt. Of course, these two series, the one for Clemson, the one for USC, huge for both as they try to accomplish really a couple of different things. Number one, for Clemson, just trying to secure their spot in the NCAA tournament. Still think it looks okay. They just can't have a breakdown here against Boston College and lose the series. That would be disastrous for them. It would also mean they'd play in that Tuesday play-in round of the ACC tournament. You don't want to have to do that. And for USC, of course, they're still trying to play their way into the top 8 for the seeding for the NCAA tournament, and winning this series, sweeping Vanderbilt, if at all possible, or winning the series would certainly help the Gamecocks' chances for that. And, of course, they'd have to go to Hoover next week and win a game or two there, perhaps, to get into the top 8. A reminder that the ACC and SEC tournaments do begin next week in Greensboro and Hoover. Sports Talk will be there at both locations, the only sports talk show in South Carolina to cover the Tigers and Gamecocks in these events on the road. K-Mac will be with the Tigers in Greensboro. I'll be with the Gamecocks in Hoover, and we'll bring all that back to you as long as they're in their respective tournaments each night next week that they're playing here on Sports Talk. Coming up tonight, we'll hear from USC Athletic Director Ray Tanner. We're also going to chat with new Gamecock commitment Jalen Christian. Now, last night, I think we did have this on the show at the end of the program last night. Zach Gaiella from Augusta, the big offensive lineman, committed to Clemson. So both teams have had a pretty good run of commitments here of late. The Gamecocks got a quarterback. They've got a tight end. Now they've got a receiver. Clemson got an offensive lineman. Clemson also got the defensive lineman earlier this week. So it's been a good run of about a week here for both teams, because my memory serves me right, Nunez committed last Thursday, and then the Gamecocks got the tight end Mark Way earlier this week, and then they get the receiver today, and Clemson got the defensive lineman on Tuesday and the offensive lineman on Wednesday. So the recruiting is going gangbusters for both teams at this point.
And if you're a Clemson fan, you love to see your team fortifying the trenches, because if there's anything that's gone lacking for maybe a few years, is a little bit more lead in the pants in the trenches for Clemson.
An update on the Gaiella story, by the way, if you read our coverage of his commitment and what he said last night, he said that he was, of course, firmly committed to Clemson, but he was going to take his official visits. But he tells us this afternoon he's changed his mind on that, and he will not take any more visits. And he said he did it himself. I asked him if he had talked to Dabo Swinney last night about it because he said he was going to take official visits. And I asked him, well, did you discuss this with Dabo Swinney? And he said no. He said when he talked to him last night, they were just caught up in the excitement of him making his commitment, didn't discuss that. And we left it at that. And then this afternoon he texted me and said that it was just something he decided to do, not take any more visits. So he'll visit Clemson later on this month and in the summer, and then that'll be it. He'll be done.
You know, it's interesting. I just thought of this, and I guess all coaches do it now because every team sort of has some form of the spread, and they have some form of, lack of a better term, fast break offense where, you know, no huddle, go right to the line of scrimmage. I wonder why they look at it, the size, potential, and strength of these guys and their technique. Are they look also now asking the high school coaches about their stamina, because there are going to be times when they're going to ask to just line up, hit somebody, push them out of the hole, and then next, keep going, and you see, especially in the early games, linemen laboring on the field.
In Gaella's case, he told me that they run Clemson's offense. They run their style. So not that it's at the same pace like it is in college, but at least he's getting up quickly after the end of every play, getting back to the line of scrimmage and getting ready for the next snap. So that is something that he is indeed used to doing. All right, let me update a few other notes here, and then we'll get to phone calls. 800-956-7266. The NCAA golf tournament began today. USC Clemson both in action. The Tigers are out in Illinois at the what's called the Sugar Grove Regional. And let me tell you what they've done so far. They had a pretty good day. Clemson right now tied for third with Kent State. They're plus 11. UAB leads the way at plus 4. That's 292. Illinois is a shot back, and then Clemson is plus 11, 299, tied for third. Here's the breakdown for the Tigers. Leading the way for them today at even par was Carson Young. Even par is 72, and so he's at even par. Cody Provo, 2 over. Austin Langdale, plus 4. Stephen Bear, plus 5. And Miller Capps, plus 7. Okay, that's your breakdown for the Tigers. South Carolina's out in Eugene, Oregon. Tell you what the Gamecocks did today, and they too had a pretty good day. They are tied for third. They are at plus 6. Stanford at minus 4 is your leader. Oklahoma at even par would be next, and South Carolina and North Florida at 6 over. They're sitting there tied for third. Breaking down the Gamecocks' day, let's see. Best score of the day turned in by Will Stark. That's a 2 under 68. It's a par 70 course, so he shot 2 under 68. Matt Neesmith and Ben Dietrich both were at plus 2. Caleb Sturgeon and Will Murphy at plus 4. So both USC and Clemson in very good shape after day one of their respective regionals. ACC baseball tournament, which is in Greensboro this year, is moving to Durham for the next 4 years. This coming out of the ACC meetings down in Florida today. ACC will hold its baseball championship at Durham Bulls Athletic Park through 2018. The agreement covers 4 championships beginning with next year's tournament and running through the 2018 season. So it's going back to Durham Bulls Athletic Park, which, of course, is a fantastic facility. Former USC coach Bobby Richardson will be honored by the SEC as a member of the 2014 class of SEC baseball legends at the tournament next week. Of course, Bobby Richardson is the guy that kind of jump-started the USC baseball program to the point where it is today. USC catcher Grayson Griner is one of 15 semifinalists for the Johnny Bench Award. That was announced today, and he's having a fantastic year, well deserving of that honor. And the ACC in basketball is going to experiment with a 30-second shot clock in home exhibition games this fall.
Amen.
I guess 35 seconds is too long. They're putting up lights at Bailey Stadium at at the Presbyterian College. So they will be playing football games under the lights beginning on September 6th.
I texted Mike about doing 6:55. He hasn't responded to me yet. Got him.
Now, around Williams-Brice Stadium pretty soon, how do you feel about Frank Martin? 2 years.
Stand by.
All right, 800-956-7266 is the phone number to your calls in just a moment. Want to announce something here. July 24th is going to be a huge, huge day in Columbia. It's going to be a phenomenal day to kick off the football season. And we'll tell you more about how you can become involved as time passes. One thing that's going to happen that day is Steve Spurrier is going to have his annual golf outing and news conference with the media, so he'll be talking Gamecock football. We'll have that covered for you. Also that day, and that night in Columbia at the Township Auditorium, Brett Favre is coming to Columbia to make an appearance in a fundraiser being put together by Clyde Wren. It's going to be a big, big, big deal, and you're going to have a chance to participate and meet and socialize with Brett Favre. Details to come, but put that on your calendar. July 24th, Brett Favre, Hall of Famer to be, one of the greatest to ever play football. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of stories to tell, a lot of jokes to tell, and he's coming to Columbia. Firmed up today, and we'll give you more details as we get them. But this is going to be a fundraiser that Clyde's getting involved with in a couple of different ways. We'll tell you more about that, but put that on your calendar. Make plans to participate in that because it's going to be fantastic, no question about it.
Just make sure he doesn't get intercepted on his way here to Columbia.
All right, now let's be nice. Let's be nice about Brett. One of my heroes. I hopefully we'll have him on the show. We'll be doing the show from there, and I don't know if I could actually. Yeah, I can interview Brett Favre without getting tongue-tied.
Brett Favre was.
I'd have to stay professional.
Brett Favre is one of the. No, you would just go gaga if you interviewed Bird.
Well, him too.
What must I say is very refreshing to see Bird with the frustration faces watching the Pacers in the playoffs.
Quickly, let's go to John in Hilton Head. First call tonight. Ray Tanner coming up after the break. Hi, John. How are you?
Doing good. Phil, could you take us kind of through give us a picture of what this situation is going to be like, or maybe a calendar and for certain key dates, and also the parties involved and the issues that they will be addressing over the next several months on the 5 power conferences as far as their new path they're going to be taking now coming up over the next several months on football.
Okay, we'll get to that. That's a good question. In fact, in my interview with Ray Tanner, we touch on the 5 power conferences and some thoughts on that. So stay tuned for that, John. We'll address that once we get through with this interview upcoming with Ray Tanner. That's going to take up the next 2 segments of the show.
Apparently 2 conferences have already decided that BYU is persona non grata. They're not going to play them.
Yeah.
ACC and SEC.
Right.
That's interesting.
And, of course, 2 leagues are going to stick with 8 league games.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the other 3 are going to play 9 league games. We'll be back. Ray Tanner is coming up here on Sports Talk right after this break.
Do you think the 14 playoff is going to be the answer for settling the National Football Champion? Will it sit at 4? Will it expand in a short amount of time to 8? Was maybe the BCS formula, just taking 2 teams and putting them together, the right way to do it?
Wow, there's a lot of debate on that, and
All right, here we go, Corn. We're going to get right into this.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, and earlier today I had a chance to sit down with USC Athletics Director Ray Tanner over at his office, and a number of things that we talked about, beginning with the upcoming SEC meetings, and he told me a point of emphasis will be improving basketball in the league. And then we turned our attention to Gamecock basketball, and I asked him his thoughts on Frank Martin after 2 years at the helm of the Gamecock program.
I believe in Frank Martin. I believe in the future of our program. And, being a former coach, I hesitate to say a few things about the coaching profession, but when Coach Martin got here, the cupboard was bare. I mean, really had to make some improvements there. I don't think there's ever been any question about what a great coach that he is, and you can talk to people all over the country, and they'll tell you that his Xing and Oing and his ability to teach is as good as anybody. Certainly recruiting comes into play, and we've recruited at a high level. And one thing that I really like about Coach Martin is in major college basketball, a lot of the head coaches are not on the ground all the time recruiting. He is. He's very much involved, and he's there. And I get an opportunity to meet with all the recruits that come in for men's basketball, which I thoroughly enjoy. But we made a lot of progress in our talent level, and even this past season, I thought there was tremendous improvement, especially at the end of the year. I think we were 6-5 in our last 11, and we had a lot of games that were in the balance. That had Tyrone Johnson been healthy and Bruce Ellington stayed in basketball, it might have gone a little bit different because that was a lot of experience that wasn't on the floor to close some games. So I feel great about where we are with our men's basketball program, and I think that his impact will be sooner than later.
Do you sense that that feeling is shared by Gamecock fans as you go around this spring? Do you sense the momentum from the end of that season carrying over to season ticket sales and a building excitement for the next season?
I do feel that way, and our men's basketball attendance was up 7% this year. We've done very well in a lot of our sports, but men's basketball was also up. And, there was the time, if you go back to the game that Coach Martin was suspended from, and, I had a lot of input from our fans, and it was all in defense of Coach Martin. They weren't very popular with that decision. But, it was one of those situations I felt it was the right thing to do at the time. But that doesn't diminish any respect that I have for Coach Martin and what he's done with our program and his assistant coaches. I think we're in a great place, and I look forward to what he brings to this program in years to come.
Do you regret that decision now?
No, I do not. I do not regret the decision. I felt at the time it was the right thing to do, and I met with Coach Martin individually. That's where we got to that particular day, and sometimes this job is not always easy. Is it something I wanted to be involved in necessarily? No, I didn't want to be at that time. But it was done. I think that he hasn't lost any respect. Our relationship is really good. I certainly have great respect for him.
Did you notice any change in his on-court demeanor moving forward from that? And are you expecting a different type of Frank Martin next season?
Well, I don't know that it'll be a different Frank Martin necessarily, because his passion, his enthusiasm, that's about who he is. But certainly there's been conversations. His athletes love him. They support him. I met with his players during that time, and they have his back 100%. And it was just sometimes the delivery. Being a former coach, did I always do the right thing? No. The delivery is very important, and I think there were a couple of situations that were not exactly what anybody would desire, certainly Coach Martin. So that's where we ended up, and I think we're all better off for it.
What can you say about what Dawn Staley has done, what she is going to do? And speaking about attendance, what are you expecting in the next basketball season for the women with the team they'll put on the court? Where do you see attendance going?
It's great. I mean, women's basketball is, in many places is a tough sell, but if you go back to when Coach Staley got here, she was a great hire by Eric Hyman without question, and she's been very successful. She wasn't in the beginning, but she had a blueprint for success. She's talked about many times. She didn't waver. She stayed the course, and in about 3 years in the program, she was doing really well. Last 2 years, 2 out of the last 3 years, she's been to the Sweet 16. Recruiting is as good as anywhere in the country, and her style of play, their tenacity on defense, ability to score, was incredible. The last home game we had this year when we clinched the SEC championship, I think it was 12,500 at the game. We didn't have promotions. This was a women's basketball game against Georgia, and they packed it in. But she's extremely popular in this community. She gives back. She's all about our fans and our donors, and her young women handle themselves tremendously well. So we're excited about our women's program, and it's one of those situations that we're really good. We've been nationally competitive. Can she win a national championship? I certainly think the ingredients are in place. It's not something you do all the time, but you get in position to maybe win at some point, and I think that's where her program is.
Baseball team's got a huge series starting tonight at Vanderbilt. They're at 40 wins, still very much in the mix for a high national seed. This done with a ton of injuries on this team. Chad Holbrook, wrapping up year 2. How do you feel about where the baseball program sits?
Well, I guess you would say that I'm biased a little bit in my assessment, but having 40 wins as we open up tonight against Vandy in a tough 3-game series, very few teams in the country that have 40 wins. He's had more injuries than I ever can remember this program having before me. During my time, it's been a tremendous challenge for him at times to put a healthy team on the field, and he's still, over that 40-win mark. And what a great year being able to keep it together with Coach Myers and Coach Busher and Esposito and Morales on the staff now. So I think we're in a great position. We're getting some guys back on the road this weekend. It's going to be very difficult. Vandy has been one of the hottest teams in the country, but we're a postseason team. Hopefully we get to play at home. We probably would have to have a 2 out of 3 weekend and maybe a little noise in the tournament to be a national seed. It's still within reach. It's maybe on the edge, but it's within reach. But hopefully we'll be able to host come regional time.
It's so tough to stay at the level you're at in baseball year after year after year, but 15 years in a row of 40 or more wins says something about the foundation that was built here many years ago that you continue to build on, and Chad is continuing with that legacy.
I didn't realize that statistic until I read it in the newspaper a few days ago, that you talk about 40 more wins 15 consecutive years, and you just look at it and you go, that's a pretty good run. And then you think about other programs in the country. Well, probably a lot of other teams have done that too. And then that's not the case. So then it becomes even more of a number that's hard to attain. But we have all the reasons at the University of South Carolina, our baseball program, to be successful, with a great stadium, great fan base, ability to recruit, so you can stay in the mix. And still things have to go well, but we do have a good program that's built for success, and I inherited that tradition from Coach Raines and Bobby Richardson. So baseball is in a good place, and certainly what Coach Holbrook has done in a short time is very impressive.
Coach Spurrier said on the spring stump that he's going to continue to coach. Who knows how much longer? He feels good. He's obviously very pleased with where things stand. What does that mean to you as athletic director when you hear Steve Spurrier saying he's going to continue to coach maybe into his mid-70s, maybe even longer?
Well, I love to hear that. I just know this. Coach Spurrier's in better shape than most 40-year-olds, so I can tell you that. And he said something to me consistently, that if I feel good and we're winning, what else would I do? And he plays golf, but you can't play golf, 365. So he loves being a part of this city and this university and coaching football, and he's had tremendous success. And being in my position, I'm not interested in going out and trying to find a new football coach to replace a legend like Coach Spurrier. So let's keep it going.
How much interaction do you and Spurrier have on a regular basis?
Well, probably pretty consistently. I'm not one to get in his way too often, but we talk. I had a conversation yesterday. He's in and out this time of year, pretty busy, but I keep my involvement in the football program. I talk to the coaches and Jamie Speronis quite a bit to make sure that we're all on the same page. But I enjoy speaking to Coach Spurrier. He's given me a lot in my 2 years, and I've gone to him for advice from time to time about different situations and how he may perceive it, unrelated to football. So he's been great. He's, as you know, very supportive of all of our programs here and all of our coaches, and who has greater experience than Coach Steve Spurrier.
Okay, Ray Tanner, we've got more from Tanner coming up, including some thoughts about some of the work taking place around the USC athletic facilities. We'll be right back.
We've got a lot going on, and the time that Eric Hyman was here, he did a wonderful job in giving.
Ice cold Cox. Cold cocked them. Go Gamecocks! Our ice cold Cox. Cold cocked them. Go Gamecocks!
You should see Ray back in the background too.
We've got a lot going on, and the time that Eric Hyman was here, he did a.
Our ice cold Cox. Cold cocked them. Go Gamecocks!
All right, back on Sports Talk. Boston College out to a 1-0 lead on Clemson. Unearned run, top of the first. Eagles up 1-0. Now back to our interview with USC AD Ray Tanner, and now we talk about the work on athletic facilities upgoing.
We've got a lot going on, and the time that Eric Hyman was here, he did a wonderful job in giving us an opportunity to move forward with some facilities, to give us an opportunity to recruit and compete at a high level. And in my short stay as an athletics director, we have over $50 million worth of projects that we're moving forward on right now. You mentioned the plaza around Williams-Brice. As soon as our last game is played this fall, I believe the South Alabama game, we'll get in there and go to work and get that plaza done before the 15 season kicks off and take an entirely different look. Many people have said, what's it going to look like? Well, it's going to be a lot of green space, a lot of trees. As you look at Gamecock Park, you're going to look across the street and you're going to see an impressive facility as well. We're building a new track. We're building a new indoor track in the field house, new locker rooms for men's and women's tennis, a new locker room for men's and women's swimming, new locker room for men's and women's soccer. We're doing so many things to improve our facilities here. As you know, the football indoor facility is under construction as we speak, and 2 new practice fields will go in. So we're doing a lot to our facilities. We needed to do it. We're competing in the SEC, and if you can compete in the SEC, you're nationally competitive. And we made a lot of strides here with facilities, and the success of our programs, I believe, were a result of the investment we made for our student athletes.
When will the practice fields for football be ready? When will the indoor facility be ready?
Well, we were hoping that we'd have our fields ready by the time fall camp starts. Probably not going to be that early, but somewhere in the middle of the fall, probably they'll be able to get on them. It'll look like they can get on them before, but you need some time once all the grass goes in, a couple of months where it's able to stabilize and you can get out there and it'll be solid for us. The field house itself probably will be finished maybe this time next year. It takes about a year to get the field house turnkey. So, but we're making progress and we're going to get there.
Any plans for a new basketball-only practice facility?
We're working on some improvements right now to the Coliseum to enhance the practice opportunities. You may know that we put a new floor in there last year in the Carolina Coliseum with some wings, and now we're trying to add a second floor. It's a little bit tight in there, but we're going to be able to do it. We're going to improve our locker rooms over there. So as we speak, we're enhancing the practice facility for both the men's and the women's program. Ultimately, I would like to build a standalone facility for men's and women's basketball somewhere here in the village. Also maybe a village sports medicine facility, a weight room area, maybe a 3-floor facility that, when we're in a different economic climate, we might be able to do that.
Saw where the LSU athletic director said the other day that he would be in favor of beer sales at SEC football games. What are your thoughts on that? Would you be willing to have beer sales inside Williams-Brice and perhaps other sports venues at USC?
Well, there's a lot of different arguments when you talk about beer sales that's happening in professional stadiums and some off-campus facilities. There's a part of me that says I don't really want to see that on college campuses where there's student athletes involved. It may be a trend as we move forward. If you ask me to make a decision today, I would probably vote against it. I just don't think it fits necessarily, and you will get arguments from some people that the crowd control is better if you serve alcohol, that you control it, and it's not done so much in the parking lots or in the tailgating areas, that it's done inside the stadium and it's regulated. Would it make a lot of difference financially? I'm sure it would, but I'm not sure. I'm mixed on that. But as I said, if I had to vote today, I'd probably vote against it.
What do you think is going to happen when the power conferences, the 5 leagues, get their autonomy from the NCAA? Where do you see rules going, and how will this benefit a place like South Carolina?
Well, I don't know that it'll benefit us necessarily because it'll be in consistency with the other 5 conferences, the 65 schools. I think that you'll probably see, and I'm just speculating because we don't know yet, but I think you'll probably see the cost of attendance come into play where there will maybe be a stipend. I don't like ever talking about paying athletes. I'm against that. I don't think that's what our motto is, and we're going to start taxing them. So you get too far down the road, they start getting services that they have to pay for, and that's not the model that we've created. But I think there might be with the Big 5 where the cost of attendance is determined, and there's some a stipend opportunity for some of our athletes. Maybe it changes for parents coming to games and those kind of things. I'm a proponent of the different governance as far as maybe it relates to health care and the things maybe we can do for athletes beyond their playing days and enhancing opportunities for professional development. We're all excited about sports, but 99% of our young men and young women, they eventually have to go get a job. And I believe that that's where some of the resources need to go, and trying to do more. We do a lot for them as undergrads. I think we could emphasize what they do as postgrads as well.
There you go, Ray Tanner, our interview with the Gamecock Athletic Director from earlier today, and we'll be right back. right, let me mention as we go to our Braves report that Clemson has scored 2 runs in the bottom of the first. Tigers lead Boston College 2-1. Give you updates on that in just a little bit. Mike Morgan with our Braves report joining us now. Braves, of course, had a rough series out in San Francisco, dropping 2 of 3 to the Giants, and they are off today as we welcome Mike into the program. What's going on, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
Hey, we're doing great. What's going on with the Bravos on this off day?
Well, it is what it is. It's an off day. They flew to St. Louis yesterday, so enjoying a little bit of time off, getting ready for a big series against the Cardinals, a team that has kind of had their number here of late. The good news is for the series looking ahead, they will not face Adam Wainwright, who shut them down the last time they saw him. Of course, Wainwright's been shutting down a lot of people this year in the last few years as one of the top pitchers in baseball. But you'll have some good matchups overall. The Braves will send Santana to the hill on Friday, Harang on Saturday, and then Gavin Floyd on Sunday, and they'll be opposed by Lynn, Shelby Miller, and Jamie Garcia in the cap. So a chance for the Braves to make a bit of a statement, playing one of those teams that's always in the running for the postseason, a team that you could likely face come October.
Mike, did the players ever talk about playing in St. Louis, arguably the one major league stop where it's almost like a college atmosphere with the fan fervor there?
Well, I think it's well known that when you go to St. Louis, you're going to have a tremendous environment. It is perhaps as good a fan base and venue as you'll find in Major League Baseball. I don't think that's debated by many. Some people pick Team X over Team Y or Venue X over Venue Y, but St. Louis is always amongst the very top in terms of environments. And as you pointed out, sometimes it is a little bit more like a college environment because it's just different in the Midwest. There's no other way to put it. If you've been there and you've been to a game there, there's a different feel to a game, say, in New York or Los Angeles. It's just a different vibe all around. But it's always been a great place to play. And since St. Louis has been so good now, really the last decade or so, that just makes it that much more of a special place to play.
All right, Mike, and quickly coming off of this lost series at San Francisco, pitching was only good one night out, really. Much concern about the way things are going right now. Since the very hot start, they've been very average to below average as a team.
Well, I think the positive sign was in that win. Mike Minor came back, so he will stay in the majors. But other than that, the big talk now is six-man rotation. How long will that last? They've actually got one more starter than most teams know what to do with. So I think overall they're still in good shape.
All right, Mike, thank you, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow night as the Braves head to St. Louis. And our Braves report brought to you by Witt Subaru of Home Shop Realty, where you pay less for more. Call 803-518-3888 today. Experience the Home Shop difference, and by Founders Federal Credit Union, helping South Carolinians attain their financial goals. It's the top of the hour here on Sports Talk, and we'll be back.
Ruthless. Stand by.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth, the professor, Tom Hayes with you tonight. K-Mac off tonight. He'll be back in the saddle tomorrow night. I'll be gone tomorrow night. And Pro, I guess you'll be here tomorrow night to help them get into the weekend. Let me update some things going on up at Clemson. Tigers now with a 3-1 lead. Jay Baum just homered to left field in the bottom of the second. In the top of the second, BC had a runner thrown out at home to cost a run for BC, a chance to tie. Let's see who threw him out. It was the Tigers. I'll tell you who threw him out. It was Stephen Duggar, the right fielder, threw him out at the plate. Saved the Tigers a run there. Now Baum has homered to make it a 3-1 Clemson lead. Clemson scored 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning, and Krieger homered to right center. He's playing the DH role again tonight, so he homered. Tigers have 2 home runs already. And then Duggar scored on a wild pitch after he got on base. So that made it 2-1, and now Baum is homered in the bottom of the second to make it 3-1. South Carolina Vanderbilt coming up tonight, 7:30 on ESPN, the opening of that series. Looks like Reggie Kennedy is going to be the new head football coach at Irmo High School. This is something that has been bantied about here last few days. He was at Sumter this past season and led the Gamecocks to a state championship game appearance. And Reggie Anderson over at News 19 here in Columbia, WLTX, had the news earlier in the week. I think he had it on Monday that it looked like Kennedy was going to be the guy to replace Bob Hanna over at Irmo. Now, Chris Daring of the state newspaper is reporting tonight on their website that Kennedy is expected to be approved as the next coach at the next meeting of the School District 5. That's Lexington-Richland School District 5. The next board meeting, that's on Monday night. He is citing sources, and he replaces Hanna, who'd been the coach since 1994. And Kennedy had only been at Sumter for a year, took the Gamecocks to a 9-6 record, runner-up in the 4A Division I category, losing to Dutch Fork in the state championship game. And before that, of course, he coached at Fairfield Central, coached at Blythewood. So it's moved around quite a little bit. Had been the head coach at Kingstree and also Orangeburg-Wilkinson. So very good football coach, a coach in demand, leaving one big-time program at Sumter High for another big-time program at Irmo.
Mm-hmm.
Think about
high school coaching.
Yeah, think about Irmo, though. I mean, as Bob Hanna could attest, when it's going well there, they get a lot of support, got a lot of money, a lot of fan support there when they're winning. So, and Reggie Kennedy will do an excellent job there. Now Sumter High has an opening. Jalen Christian coming up after the break.
Dude is ferocious. One of those dudes with a really, really calm demeanor until you throw pads on him. Wonder what that's like being 1,000% fearless of any form of contact from another NFL player. Yeah, it's much more difficult than it sounds. I'd much rather be a boxer than be running through the front seven of the Pittsburgh Steelers. No way. Boxer is one blow and it's good night. It's not tremendous punishment for hours and hours and hours. And you got to sit in the sauna and the whirlpool for 4 days just to do it again next week. I remember the first time I took a face mask off my arm on a cold day. I was like, wow. Please, no more baseball season. Come on.
They told me, expect the unexpected. I don't think I've seen it more ever than it's been in the playoffs this year. Expect the unexpected.
Have we seen the last of Kevin Garnett? A career 18 and 10 points and rebounds in the playoffs. Final game, only 5 points.
Steen Van Gundy, coach, president, looking for a GM. There's rumors he might hire Otis Smith, the old Orlando GM who gave Rashard Lewis about $500 million. As somebody who writes about sports for
All right, guys, we're coming back. Stand by.
Okay, let's update a couple of things. Clemson continues to lead Boston College 3-1. Tigers still batting in the second. No, they're going to the top of the third now. And Clemson is up 3-1. Major League Baseball this afternoon. Several finals. St. Louis beat Chicago 5-3. Milwaukee down Pittsburgh 4-3. Minnesota beat Boston in 10 4-3. Cincinnati shut out San Diego 5-0. And the golf this weekend, the HP Byron Nelson Championship out in Texas. It's Peter Hansen with the lead, 5 under 65. Mark Leishman and David Duval, they're next at 4 under 66. David Duval making an appearance on the leaderboard. Dustin Johnson, 1 under 69 for him. Kevin Kisner's at 1 under through 15 holes. Jordan Spieth, even par 70. Chris Blanks, a 70 as well. Jonathan Bird, a 71. John Daly, a 73. Tommy Gainey, a 73. Mark Anderson, a 73. And Kyle Stanley, a 74. That's in the first round out in Texas. The 7-11-21 instant game has lucky numbers written all over it. With this dollar instant game, you could win up to $1,000. That's from the South Carolina Education Lottery. All right, the USC football team picked up a major commitment today. Wide receiver Jalen Christian from up in Damascus, Maryland, committed to the Gamecocks, and Jalen has joined us on the phone. Just wrapping up some track practice this afternoon, and we appreciate him being with us. Hopefully he's caught his breath. How you doing this evening, Jalen?
I'm good. How are you guys?
They're doing fine, man. Thanks for being with us, and congratulations on your commitment to the Gamecocks today. And tell us about South Carolina for you and why you feel like it's the right place.
Basically, I grew up in a small town, Damascus, Maryland. The community, basically basically every store in Damascus closes down on Friday night lights. And then when I visited South Carolina, it reminded me very much of Damascus. The community very involved with the football organization. Coach May and Coach Spurrier Jr., I have a great relationship with them. And, I just felt at home.
You had over 20 offers. You had a lot of big-time programs on your offer list, yet at the end of the day, South Carolina had a pretty large separation between them and the rest of the teams on your offer list. When did South Carolina, in your mind, start to pull away from everybody else you were considering?
A lot of schools started to cancel out because their roster started to fill up, But South Carolina was my first offer, so they've always been they kind of had the edge early. And so basically when all these schools started to fill up and Coach May and Coach Spurrier, visited me in the past, 2 weeks, or within the past 2 weeks. And, we talked about everything, and it kind of pulled the trigger right there. So I knew for a couple of days now that I wanted to commit, so I did it today.
As a high school football recruit, and you bring up a good point, schools are starting to fill up. I mean, heck, it's just May. And
I know.
You haven't even gotten through your junior year of high school yet. You haven't even played your senior year of football, and this is for you and other guys in your situation. I mean, do you feel rushed to make a decision in a case like this? Would you prefer that the process slow down a little bit so you guys could go through your senior year and take official visits, or do you like the fact that schools are making these early offers and giving you guys at an earlier age a chance to go ahead and lock down a scholarship?
Yeah, I do like it earlier. Like I said, South Carolina was my first offer, so I had plenty of time to think about it. And, so I was ready to commit. And, like you said, a lot of schools are filling up. And I guess every year it's going to keep, getting earlier and earlier with the commits. But I'm happy where I committed to. And, I want to stick with it.
From what Coach Magus, Coach Spurrier Jr. have told you about what they see in you and the plans for the offense, what have they talked to you about the kind of role you'll play with them?
Basically like a Bruce Ellington and Ace Sanders, somewhat like them, slot, kick return, and punt return. So I'm very excited about that.
Describe yourself to us as a player. Is there somebody that, and you mentioned a couple of Gamecocks there, but is there somebody else in college football or the NFL that you kind of emulate in terms of your style on the field?
I've been compared to Stephon Diggs from Maryland a few times. Definitely last year I was compared to him.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, that's probably him and Tavon Austin too. So.
Well, do you have that kind of burst, especially Austin? I mean, that guy was incredibly fast, especially right off the line. Have you got that kind of burst?
I got something in my tank. I don't know if it's that fast, but there's always room to improve. I'll be working on it.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of guys with speed, but they don't have cutting ability. Is it your mastery of the kick return? Are you looking at angles? You have a plan of action as you glance at the field, then feel the ball?
Honestly, I don't even know how I do it. If I see just a tiny hole, I might take it, and I don't know, I guess I slip right through it and I break free. Or I can, make one move and then go around, with the help of, my teammates. So, I can do a few things. It all depends on the situation that, I am put in. So, I can do a few things.
Talking with Jalen Christian, who has committed to USC. Are you a football player who runs track or a track guy who plays football?
Football player who runs track.
Football's first. All right, let me ask you this. Talk about your speed and all that, but can you go across the middle?
Okay, I can go across the middle. I go across the middle a lot. I like the middle. It can get scary, but I like the middle.
Not afraid to take a hit, huh?
Yeah, I'm not afraid.
Now, your numbers, you rushed for 800 yards last year, so your high school uses you a pretty good bit as a running back?
Yes, sir. Basically, we had a new team, more sophomores and juniors, and we didn't know what we were going to do. So we did a wing T type, a lot of option, a lot of mixture things, basically to get, the best players the ball without throwing it, taking the time. It's the best way to get the playmakers the ball is just hand it off. So, we changed up the offense. We still threw it, though, but that's how I got all my rush yards.
How about this coming season? More of the same, or will you be more of a pure receiver?
Probably more of a slot receiver this year. I'll probably even have a package for quarterbacks. Who knows what the coaches are working on right now. But, we'll have a lot of, depth, I guess.
Sure.
A lot of seniors and juniors and even sophomores stepping up. So if we want anything to get a state ring, this is our year.
You ever been in the Wildcat?
You said have
you ever been in the Wildcat, take a direct snap?
Oh, yeah, I've done that a couple of times last year. Something I got to get used to. I'm not that loud on the field, so we do a clap now.
Are you graduating early?
No, sir.
All right, so you won't be enrolling in January. You'll wait and come in next summer. Well,
yes,
congratulations to you once again, Jalen. And I know this is a big load off your shoulders to get all this done. You're a commitment to South Carolina. I know they're very happy to have you on board. And we'll be talking with you and checking in with you during the season. Enjoy your summer.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Nice having you with us tonight.
Oh, no problem.
Take care. Bye-bye. Jalen Christian, committing to USC today. No drama. Had a little pep rally at his school. Had one cap in his hand. And I think he just put the USC hat on his head and said, that's it, going to South Carolina. None of this 3 and 4 cap sort of deal where he was trying to fool anybody. He was pretty clear-cut on South Carolina for a little while and culminated with his announcement today at his high school. Sounds like, and at least on paper, a guy pro that can step right in and follow in the footsteps. Ace Sanders, Bruce Ellington, Demir Bird, Nick Jones, those kind of receivers that have done very well in South Carolina's offense.
You can't see them coming out of the backfield till they catch the football.
And then they blow right by you. We'll be back. More Sports Talk coming up.
That's it, one bomb in 123 innings? Is that right? Well, they finally started juicing. Pumping that ESPN money in there. Need some ratings. Y'all need to start, taking these syringes. Get those ratings up, son. What'd he say? Dude, I want to be on Twitter and say stuff. Look at me, Pat White.
All right, thanks to Jalen Christian for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk, updating baseball. Clemson up 3-1. Clemson's hit 2 home runs in this game. That's 2 home runs in 2 innings. Going into this game, they had hit 1 home run in their previous, what did I say, 123 innings? Is that what I said? 1 home run in 121 innings. Is that what I said? And so they've hit 2 in 2 innings. Now they're in the third, and they lead 3-1, 3-4-1 for the Tigers, 1-3-2 for BC. So if they can win tonight, hold on and win this game with Crownover on the mound, then they've got Gossett going for them tomorrow. That's all. You can pretty much chalk that up as a W for them. They can go for the sweep. It's over 13 games, yeah. Then they can go for the sweep on Saturday, and that should really help them, boost them as far as the ACC tournament is concerned and their NCAA tournament hopes as well. South Carolina and Vanderbilt. They'll be getting underway shortly. See if I have any notes for you from over that way as they prepare to get underway. 7:33, the first pitch. ESPNU is the spot, and just checking to see if anybody has put out anything regarding starting lineups, injuries for the Gamecocks, any updates there. Let me see. Here we go. Here's your lineup for the Gamecocks. Mooney, Schrock will DH, Martin at first, Griner, Pancake, Orindis, English, Cone, Harrington, and Montgomery. So, basically what they've been going with here in the last week or so since Schrock got healthy. So still no Connor Bright able to go for the Gamecocks tonight.
Now the winner of this series clinches second place in the East.
Second place in the East. The winner of this series will be second place in the East, and probably depending on how many games they win in the series, it could be third or fourth overall. Yeah, depending on what happens.
That's big.
Mm-hmm. And then again, K-Mac and I were talking last night. I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but let's just say one of these teams sweeps and Florida gets swept at Tennessee, then you've got a tie in the East.
But it wouldn't help South Carolina because Florida has a tiebreaker.
Well, apparently they give division champions, but that would give Florida would still have the tiebreaker.
Right.
Vandy's got the tiebreaker against Florida.
Right.
Should they tie? But again, the likelihood of Florida being swept at Tennessee is not great, and probably the likelihood of either one of these teams sweeping one another is not likely either. I look for this to be the South Carolina Vanderbilt series. I look for this to be a very low-scoring, defensive, dominated kind of series. Now watch it turn out to be like a 7-6 slugfest because you just never know. But I mean, based on the Gamecocks have a team ERA of 1.99. That is almost unheard of anywhere in baseball these days. But with the deadened bats and good pitching the Gamecocks have and the excellent defense behind the pitching, you can understand why they would have such a very good ERA. But Vanderbilt has a very good ERA too, and 3 hard throwers will be starting for them over the next 3 nights against the Gamecocks, or 2 nights in Saturday afternoon in Nashville. All right, 800-956-7266 if you want to jump on board. We got time to hear from you.
We go to Lorena Bobbitt on the sideline.
I decided in the draft because I felt like I was ready to go, and, you know, I felt like I did a great job this year.
Stand by.
All right, Clemson's blown it open against Boston College up at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Tigers with a 6-1 lead now as they've gone to the fourth inning. In the third, Tigers added 3 more runs. Wilkerson doubled to right field. That scored an unearned run. Then a Boulware sacrifice fly to center. That scored a run. And then Baum had a sacrifice fly as well. And that scored an unearned run. So the Tigers are pouring it on now. 6-1, 6-5-1 for the Tigers, 1-3-2 for the Eagles. South Carolina Vanderbilt just about to get underway in Nashville. Keep you up to date on that game. We'll be checking other scores here as well as we move through the last portion of the program tonight. If you want to join in, 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Want more out of your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. All right, Big Ten. We were talking about earlier the power conferences, and caller, I think was it John down in Hilton Head, asked us to talk about some of the things upcoming as this power conference thing sort of comes to fruition. And we're seeing, of course, as these power conferences individually have their meetings, we're seeing where they are all saying they're in favor of it. The Big Ten had their meetings this week, and they're in favor of the concept of the power conferences having autonomy from the NCAA. A lot of details have to be worked out, but one thing, and you heard Ray Tanner say this in our interview, one thing that I think all these power conferences are on the same page about, Pro, and that is what they call the full cost of attendance, lifelong learning and health benefits. The same thing they're talking about there is the same thing that Ray said to us. He talked about something that these power conferences could do, will do when they get their autonomy, is do something for the health benefits of their athletes and also the full cost of attendance. Lifelong learning means, of course, if you leave to pursue your to pursue your professional career, the school will still pay for you to come back and finish up your college degree and that sort of stuff. So they all seem to be on the same page with those concepts.
I think what they want to do is I think they can the playing field can be leveled if you put together a benefits package better than it is to go with a pay scale to pay them. Because, you know, with a benefits package, what the benefits you get at South Carolina can be in line with what you get at Wisconsin or Ohio State or Virginia. So I think probably that's the way they want to go. Plus, it kind of forestalls this talk of unionizing if you put the benefits out there early. And especially some of these guys will have sort of injuries that's going to, you know, they have to deal with the rest of their lives, arthritis or whatever.
Absolutely.
So pay for that health care. And then, of course, you know, the family, the trips the family wants to take to watch their son play at a football game. I think that's going to be key as well. So I could see that happening. I guess some of the other things we're looking at is some chirping from some other conferences, probably more than any, the Big Ten and Pac-12 about well, the ACC and SEC, they ought to be held against them to only play 8 conference games. But the interesting thing, Phil, is at least in this part of the country, people have to realize how intimate, as far as distance is concerned, as the SEC and ACC are. And as we already stated, there are 4 teams in each conference that play what they feel is a 9th conference game anyway, because they play an in-state rival who happens to be in the other conference. The Pac-12 doesn't have that. The Pacific Territory is a little bit different. You know, they got to go to the Mountain West or maybe even the WAC. Now, I will say that the Big Ten and Big 12 could probably muster something up, but as we know, the Big Ten is pretty much married, even in non-conference schedules, to playing a Pac-12 school, because they got that marriage with the Rose Bowl. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. But as I said before, nobody's talking about it. I just don't like the idea of an uneven schedule every other year where you have to play more than half of your conference games on the road, and a team that may win the conference has played 5 at home that particular year. I just think if you're going to expand the schedule, you go to 10 conference games.
You know, I don't see why the colleges can't take advantage of this opportunity, because since forever the NCAA has been around, even though the teams have been under the umbrellas of the NCAA and then more regionally under their own league umbrella, whether it's the SEC or the ACC, they've always acted as independent operations of one another, and they are always looking out for what's best for me. That's how they've always been. That's how they are now. And, you know, I get that to some degree. But it has also led to a lot of the crazy rules that we have in place now, because nobody trusts anybody, and you try to legislate fairness in so many different ways that it's just crazy. Here's an opportunity with these 5 conferences coming together to kind of start over. And I'm not saying be just like the NFL, but kind of use the NFL as a model for fairness and evenness across the board. Everybody has to play by the same rules. Everybody has to pony up the same amount of money for cost of attendance. It's just got to be fair across the board, so that, you know, the teams, and it goes back to scheduling. They should all schedule the same way. You know, the Pac-12, the SEC, they should be the same. ACC, Big Ten, they should all, if they're going to be together under this union, then let's be fair about it, and let's all play under the same model, especially when it comes to scheduling. Me personally, as I've said before, I like the 9 league games. I like more meaningful games. And I know, like you pointed out accurately, the teams down here have out-of-league rivals that they have to play, which is like a league game. Well, I mean, you know, that's tough. That's life. But let's play 9 league games across the board to make more games important, and also to give the fan, I think, for his season ticket, something more worthwhile than a couple of throwaway games in the home schedule, you know, just to turn an extra few $1 million against an opponent you're going to beat by 70 points. Let's play more league games. Let's have more meaningful games. And in my mind, too, that would certainly help to further establish a true league champion. I mean, the more league games you play, then the more whoever emerges from that, you know, is a more viable champion, because you played more of your league opponents. And if you come away as the champion, then it stands to reason to me that you know, that distinguishes you among everybody else.
I still don't know who came up with the brilliant idea of 9 conference games. You know, any team or anything you look at, they have even numbers. There's a reason for that, because you want to play the same number of home games as you do on the road. So I don't know why the Pac-12 just didn't go to 10.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of 10.
Just go to 10.
I'd be in favor. I'm in favor of more league games, but I know the coaches don't feel that way. Coaches don't feel that way because they want to have a couple of lighter touches in there. They don't want to have to play a pressure-packed game every week. And then if you're in that situation where your big rival game is against an out-of-league opponent,
right?
That's an 11th really tough game or 12th really tough game, depending on what you have already set up. So I would just think they would take this opportunity with the reformation they're going through with the 5 power leagues now kind of going off on their own. Let's even everything up. Let's play by the same model here, use the same model, play by the same rules across the board.
And that's not going to happen because that little anomaly in the ACC called Notre Dame. We're in the conference, but we're not really in there at football.
All right, South Carolina Vandy underway, scoreless in the first.
Stand by.
All right, Clemson still up on Boston College, 6-1. Tigers batting in the bottom of the fourth. And South Carolina had a chance. They had runners on first and second, one out. Griner had a 9-pitch at bat before striking out. And Pancake also struck out swinging. So had two of their big hitters up there, couldn't come through. Jordan Montgomery goes to the mound now for the Gamecocks. They're scoreless going to the bottom of the first inning at Vanderbilt. Something big just hit South Carolina. The Hit family of instant games. There are a total of 4 tickets in this family. Play for your chance to win up to $200,000 from the South Carolina Education Lottery. All right, we give you some recruiting news now on this Thursday night. And, of course, as you heard, Jalen Christian from Damascus, Maryland, committed to South Carolina today. Offensive lineman Zach Gaella of Augusta, who committed last night to Clemson, and said after making the commitment, what he told us last night and talking to him about his decision, while very happy with the commitment, he planned to continue taking visits, said he would take all 5 visits, and that LSU was going to continue to recruit him hard. He talked to his LSU recruiter last night. And you know, Clemson coach Dabo Swinney has a policy that players committed to the Tigers can't take any more visits, and he expected him to honor that commitment. Well, Gaella didn't talk to Swinney last night about that, but today on his own decided that he was not going to take any more visits. He tells us that he just decided not to. We asked if he had talked to Swinney and was made aware of the policy. He said no, he just decided not to take any more visits. He will visit Clemson later this month, and he plans to attend a camp there in June. Wide receiver J.J. Arcega-Whiteside of Dorman has Wake Forest as his leader, but he's picked up recent offers from Georgia Tech, Maryland, Pittsburgh, Virginia, Harvard, Miami of Ohio, among others. So while Wake Forest still leads, he does want to take more visits before he makes a commitment. So he'll probably try to hold things off until the start of his season. He continues to get a lot of visits from coaches coming through his spring practice. Still hears some from Clemson and USC, but he says they're not very consistent in their interaction with him. He does plan to attend camps at the 2 this summer and is looking at other visits in other camps. Other offers are Wake Forest, Furman, Elon, Old Dominion, James Madison, Appalachian State, and Charlotte. A week from yesterday, May 21st, receiver Freddie Phillips of Pelion is going to announce his decision. They'll have a ceremony at his school at 7 o'clock. He'll make his commitment, and 3 schools are on his list. He has them even: Wake Forest, North Carolina, NC State. Says he's ready to get this done and focus on his future. And North Carolina, he said, the first to offer, so that means a lot. He says NC State has a great program. He likes Wake Forest because it's a small community, and did not give an indication of any favorite right now. Wide receiver Javal Millette of Randleman, North Carolina, back and forth between Clemson and North Carolina as his favorite. He visited Chapel Hill a couple of weekends ago with his mother, and that has elevated the Tar Heels back to the point where the Tigers had resided for weeks after he visited there. Said that his mom liked North Carolina and that he took her to Clemson. She liked it too, but he said she likes North Carolina more. He said she liked the spirit there, and she felt like they would take good care of him if he went there. Millette says it's been a little while since he last talked to Clemson, though he's had some social interaction and received mail from them. Jeff Scott and Robbie Caldwell from Clemson have been through this spring. Millette plans to return to Clemson for a camp this summer. He's also going to take visits to Tennessee and Virginia Tech, and will try to get to Michigan. Those are the other 3 in his top 5, and he says everybody in his top 5 right now has a chance. He says he just favored Clemson and North Carolina because they were recruiting him the hardest at the time. He won't have a decision until the end of June or early July. A side note is that he lives just 4 minutes from the home of Richard Petty, and his grandson, Petty's grandson, is the starting quarterback on their team and is one of his best friends. Chasen Virgil, quarterback out of Tennessee, who Clemson offered very early and appeared to have a lot of interest in, but the Tigers went in different directions for their 2 quarterback commitments, and Virgil now has committed to Mississippi State. 2016 wide receiver Eddie McDoom got his first offer today from Clemson.
I love that name.
Eddie McDoom. If you like that name, how about this one? Clemson today offered 2016 defensive back Nigel Warrior. So we have a McDoom and a Warrior. He's from Atlanta. USC commitment wide receiver DJ Neal is going to visit LSU on May 31st. And in basketball, point guard Juwan Evans of Dallas, who's originally from Greenville, has cut his list to 8. We'll tell you who makes that in a moment. All right, Clemson's tacked on another run. RBI single by Krieger. In the bottom of the 4th, Tigers are up 7-1. USC Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt batting in the bottom of the 1st. Have a runner on first base. 1 out in a scoreless game. And we'll update some other baseball around the area for you here in just a moment. After we wrap up recruiting, we'll do that in just a moment. Want more out of your education? Well, Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. Juwan Evans, Greenville native out in Dallas, released his short list of 8 today. Clemson, Illinois, Southern Cal, Virginia Tech, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma State, and Cincinnati. Of course, he played at Southside High, then Legacy Charter in Greenville before moving to Texas as a sophomore. He's emerged as one of the top point guard prospects in the 2015 class. There you go with recruiting. Don't forget to check it out on our website, sportstalksc.com. Check it out every day, every night, and you'll find lots of good information there for you. Now, to other baseball. South Carolina Vandy still scoreless. Rain, of course, a big problem around here. In the Big South, Longwood and Winthrop postponed. Charleston Southern and VMI postponed. Campbell and Coastal canceled. And Asheville High Point postponed. In the Southern Conference tonight, you've got Furman playing at Appalachian State. That's a big series for those teams. Greensboro at the Citadel postponed. Davidson leads Western 6-5, bottom of the 7th. In the SEC, other games tonight, let's see, Florida's leading Tennessee 3-1, and Missouri over Arkansas 1-0. Mississippi State, Alabama scoreless. LSU leading Auburn 3-0. Ole Miss, Texas A&M scoreless, as are Kentucky and Georgia. Elsewhere around the ACC tonight, Virginia, Wake Forest postponed. Florida State leads Duke 3-0. North Carolina and Miami in a delay. Notre Dame leads Pittsburgh 2-0. That's the bottom of the 8th. NC State, Virginia Tech postponed. And South Florida leading Georgia Tech 1-0, top of the 3rd. And in the Atlantic Sun, it's Stetson leading South Carolina Upstate 1-0, bottom of the 2nd. Colonial, William & Mary and College of Charleston postponed down in Charleston. So there you go. You're up to date on the baseball. One more check. Clemson leading 7-1 over Boston College, bottom of the 5th. And USC Vanderbilt with a runner on second, 2 men out, no score, bottom of the 1st. And we got hoops coming up, Pro.
Yes, Washington and Indiana, the two teams that don't want to win, because in the 5 games, there's only been one home team to win a ball game. That was Indiana in Game 2.
And we'll see what happens tonight. And, of course, later tonight, if you want to stay up, the Clippers and the Thunder.
I would love to stay up, but I can't.
City. I'll probably be up to watch that because that's been a great series. All right, I'm gone tomorrow. K-Mac and the Pro and the State Man will be here. Everybody have a great night. Be sure to join us here. Sports Talk right here tomorrow night.